An Israeli airstrike has left one Lebanese journalist dead and another severely wounded. The country's president says it was a deliberate attempt to silence those reporting on the IDF's actions. Journalists and ordinary civilians alike gathered in Beirut to protest Israel's killing of reporter Amal Khalil. RT correspondent Steve Sweeney brings us the story.
Journalists and their supporters have gathered here in Martyrs Square in the Lebanese capital, Beirut, to call for an end to the killing of Lebanese journalists. This demonstration was prompted by the killing of the Al Akbar journalist Amal Khalil. Now, this was a killing that was particularly brutal. Now, according to local reports, Amal was working in the south in Al-Tiri when she was travelling behind a car that was struck by the Israeli forces, killing both the occupants. Now, her and her colleague Zainab Faraj, well, they escaped and they took shelter in a nearby building. Now, as that was taking place, the Israelis, well, they hindered those rescue operations. The Lebanese Red Cross, the Lebanese Army and civil defence workers that tried to make their way to mount a rescue effort, well, they came under direct attack as well. Sound bombs and gunfire targeting those workers, preventing them from reaching the journalists. Then later, the Israelis, well, they struck the building that the journalists were sheltering in themselves. This was, as we understand, a three-storey building which collapsed in its entirety. And as we can see from images that were circulating, the ambulances themselves came under direct fire from Israel. Now, again, the emergency services, well, they eventually, after hours, arrived on the scene and they very unfortunately found Amal's dead body under the rubble. People are seeing this as a direct assassination of a journalist, a war crime. Now, we've gathered here in Martyrs Square and we've spoken to a number of Amal's colleagues and also the head of one of the emergency teams that works on the ground in the south.
For us journalists and for the people of southern Lebanon, she was their voice. We cannot remember Amal without remembering the South and vice versa because the bond between them is so strong. I want to say that when Amal was alive, she documented crimes and conveyed the voice of southern Lebanon.
As a journalist, Amal was a role model for everyone working in this field. She was the voice that the occupation forces pursued, besieged, and prevented access to, because her words frightened them.
This is one of the many violations of international law that are taking place, not only against journalists, but also against medical personnel. Hospitals have been destroyed, civil defense and Red Cross teams have been wounded.
Today we are gathered here for the journalist Amal Khalil, who was directly targeted more than once. And even after she was killed, medical teams were prevented from reaching her.
The situation here is incredibly emotional. These are people that knew Amal very well. She was very well known in the south. She'd reported from there since the 2006 war. So she was very well known. She was very well loved. She had also received direct death threats from Israel, saying that she should leave the south immediately if she wanted to keep her head on her shoulders. So people are seeing this as a direct assassination of a journalist, a war crime. Now, this comes as peace talks have taken place in Washington, chaired by the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. These are direct talks between the Israeli and the Lebanese ambassadors. Now, the Lebanese side, well, they've said that they want a one-month extension to that ceasefire, which came into effect on April the 16th, and they want that to be a permanent ceasefire, while the Israeli side, well, they've maintained their position over the dismantling and disarming of Hezbollah. Now, for its part, Israel continues to occupy whole swathes of that border area. They've implemented a Gaza-style yellow zone, which means some 55 towns, villages and other settlements in that area are inaccessible to the local people. Since the ceasefire came into effect on April the 16th, Israel has breached it more than 200 times. Now, nearly 2,500 people have been killed since the Israeli escalation on March the 2nd. And even during that ceasefire period, well, Israel has decimated and leveled entire settlements in that so-called yellow zone area, detonating homes, setting fire to ambulances, destroying even schools. And anybody caught in that zone, according to a report from the Jerusalem Post, is effectively in a kill zone, with Israeli soldiers instructed to open fire on anybody within that zone, even if they are unarmed. So many people, including those gathered led here today say that those talks shouldn't be taking place at all, particularly under the current circumstances. Now, what happens next remains to be seen, but Israel continues to act with impunity, and the message is that they can kill anybody, anytime, anywhere. This is Steve Sweeney for RT in Beirut.